Enough of making glass cannons, I thought to myself one sunny morning, and decided to follow one of the build guides from Captain Lance and build a shocking old man, an Inquisitor who is using lightning spells such as Spark or Arc for that matter, and who is extremely hard to kill, very tanky. This is not a build guide, this is another build preview, something I'm working on, and right now, as you can see, this character is level 65, still finishing the campaign. I'm not in any rush whatsoever. Captain Lance, he is going high-end, very deep high-end. And I am, trying to create content for beginners and casuals, sort of reflective of how I play. It will be probably about 70 to 80 Chaos Orbs. I was just thinking that 50 Chaos Orbs, it only cost me to buy one of the key kind of elements of this build, Aegis Aurora Shield, Champion Kite Shield. This is a fantastic tanking shield. This is not a detailed build guide, which is why we won't stop on this for too long, but it gives us a massive amount of benefits, essentially. Armor, energy shield, elemental resistances, most importantly, increased maximum cold resistance, and we will rely on those increased resistances quite a lot in this build, increasing both damage and survivability, right? So this shield cost me 50 Chaos Orbs, and that was cheap. At the moment of me buying it, that was actually on the cheaper end, because as you can see, it's corrupted, and its links and sockets are not super optimal. So I just went cheap and cheerful. And then there are a few other elements of this build, of this gear setup mostly, that push currently at level 65, the cost of this build to about 75 Chaos. Sometimes I put together something like Arc Witch or like Summon Raging Spirits Necromancer as a true league starter, because you can be very powerful and you can push towards at least the start of the end game, at least the tier 1, 2, 3 of the maps, and accumulate massive amounts of currency in the process with one of those builds. Then my typical play is that I'm not pushing, say, Arc Witch to tier 16 maps. I'm not. I both get bored and I recognize that the build is not made for it. The build is made for a cheap and cheerful, very easy, very quick start of the league. Just to unlock content, just to accumulate some currency and stuff like that. That is when those builds, they kind of stop working, and I usually, typically sort of mid-league, towards the end of the league, I am looking to switch to something potentially more expensive, but also a lot more end-game proof. So in this particular case, after this long ado, I would say that this Gyro Spark construct, this shocking old man, is essentially one of those non-league starters. It's a league finisher. I refer to those builds sometimes. And that, once again, only means that it's hard to start with this, because you will not be as powerful without this mandatory unique gear, such as Aegis Aurora and a few other pieces. That is all I'm trying to say here. So keep that in mind. But if you have already started the league, if you have accumulated currency, if you have been kind of hitting a bit of a brick wall with your Arc Witch, or even with Summon Raging Spirits Necromancer, and you feel like something else, this might be the build for you. Now, what do I like about this build? Well, as I said already, it is tremendously tough. It's very tough. As you can see, at this level 65, I have a little over 2000 life, which is nothing to write home about just yet. And well, decently increasing shield right now. Decently increasing shield. So effective hit points pool, effective life plus shield pool is about 3000 points right now at level 65. This is a fairly, in my assembly right now, as you can see, heaps of empty spots in the gear. I am very transparent with you here, my friends. So before you tell me, oh Gyro, what the hell is that? I told you, it is not a finished build. It's a build in progress, and it's something that already works really well, by my standards anyway. And it is a very unique heavy build. It doesn't have to be, before you ask me. It doesn't have to be. Even Captain Lance's build that this is based on only has like a couple of uniques. The rest of it are high-end rares that he is using. And those rares, by the way, are more expensive than uniques sometimes, because you have to roll specific stats, specific increases, specific stuff on those items. I will talk you through mine. Very simple. Singularity is a Platinum Scepter. It increases elemental damage, it hinders close enemies, it reduces mana cost of skills, it increases cast speed. It is one of the best items one of the best sort of weapons, in my opinion, for this kind of build, not just this build specifically, but for this kind of build when you are approaching end game. This is not the best in slot thing. I will show you what the best in slot is, and the best in slot I already also bought is Nebulis. Nebulis is synthesized Void Scepter. This thing I will be able to equip in a few levels, at level 68, which is increasing cast speed, and most importantly what it does, it relies on your increased maximum resistances. So if your resistances are above 75%, per 1% of added resistance after that level, you will have plus 19 to 18% with this random roll on this item, increased damage, cold or lightning respectively. So if you take a look again at my character sheet, not optimized yet, right? If you look at defenses, I have 77% fire resistance, I have to 80% already cold resistance, and at the moment 75 maximum lightning resistance. So even if we look just at cold, that's 5% over 75, that's 5 multiplied by 19. There's a massive boost of damage. You can already see that's coming at level 68. I'm 65, only 3 levels away from it. So that's why Nebulis is so good. But Singularity is a fantastic Platinum Scepter as well. If you don't have Nebulis, don't have money, whatever, Singularity, I found it, but I think you can buy it definitely under 5 Chaos Orbs, definitely. Now, this is Peregrine Visored Saleh helmet. It's not amazing, but it's not too bad either. It is pretty good. It increases armor and evasion. This is an armor-based build as well. We like armor. It gives massive amount of lightning resistance, leeches attack damage as mana, although we're not really attacking per se, we're casting spells, and it increases movement speed. This is a suboptimal item. I will be changing it to something else, and in the final build guide, full build guide, I will tell you what I chose to use here. I already mentioned to you Aegis Aurora, the most important and expensive part of this build, because it replenishes energy shield by 2% of armor value when you block, so you will be getting massive amounts of energy shield every time you block, and our block chance is quite high. Then I bought a 6 linked socket item here, King's Guard. You could have just gotten away with a rare. You don't have to have a unique here. I simply saw the right color sockets for sale. This was 7 Chaos Orbs. 7 Chaos Orbs on Community Market. Absolutely worth your while, I'd say. Decent amount of life, decent amount of mana, and endurance charges, although we are not actively generating endurance charges in this build just yet. So this is again not optimal, but armor value is very high. Energy shield is very high. Life is high. Mana high. So you can see that it's better than Tabula Rasa, let's say, right? Now, in my right slot of the ring, I am currently relying on Dream Fragments. Dream Fragments is just hard to replace because of how good this ring is. It increases maximum mana, increases mana regeneration rate, gives cold resistance, and you can't be chilled and frozen, because being chilled and frozen, especially until you are a massive tank with Aegis Aurora, I think it is death normally. So preventing that is a lot, means a lot. And also this, you don't need to tell me again that that's not a very optimal item, but for a tank character, I am losing attack speed and cast speed. I'm losing damage. I am losing damage. But it increases chance to block attack damage. It gives you life when you block. It gives you mana when you block. It, you know, and it reflects physical damage to attackers on block. So, sorry, I almost forgot, 418 to armor. That's like an extra massive item on you with armor. So, I'm experimenting at the moment, so full build will tell you whether I kept it, whether I didn't keep it as I approach endgame and see how that fares there. But you will see in the footage in the background that sometimes I just stop and just stand there, letting the mobs surround me. I understand that's not endgame maps, but it's close enough. It's level 65, 64, 65 when I was recording the background footage. And you can see that they can't do anything to me. Well, not much anyway. Very occasionally I have to heal when I'm just doing literally nothing. My belt, again, I am like, jury is out on this one. It increases damage, which is good. It increases maximum energy shield by quite a bit, and energy shield recharge rate. So I'm kind of playing with the idea that I'm going to invest a bit more into energy shield to benefit further from Aegis Aurora, because if I don't have energy shield, then the whole benefit of this Aegis Aurora kite shield is sort of diminished, because it gives you energy shield back. And if you have a tiny energy shield, it doesn't matter. it gives you. So I'm trying to take advantage of that. I also found, it's a self-found item, Wake of Destruction mesh boots. They're not tremendous because they are about attacks. So it adds lightning damage to attacks. I do not think that Spark as a spell counts as attack per se. But it is increased armor, it is increased energy shield, it is life gained on kill, it increases movement speed and drops shocked ground. So it's not terrible, it's not a terrible item. And I'm using mesh gloves here, just very stat rich. Just a lot of life, a lot of mana, a lot of resistances, you know, so it's pretty okay. Now for the main cluster, and this is again not a build guide, hence I'm not talking to you about everything literally what I have. I have Spark, I supported by Inspiration support, I add lightning damage obviously to it. I increase critical strikes chance here. I use Spell Echo because it makes me attack faster, it's great, and I also use faster casting support. I know Captain Lance is not using faster casting and I think it's for a good reason, but I'm experimenting with this, it gives me a lot of damage. At the moment I simply do not know what would be a better benefit for the back right now, and I welcome your feedback in the comments below if you have an opinion on this and it's an educated one. For defenses, you can see I have estimated physical damage reduction of 83%. I have maxed out, above maxed out elemental resistances. I have a relatively low spell block chance, unfortunately for me, but good elemental resistance, which is good. And a pretty decent, I would say, chance to block attack damage. Pretty decent. And you can see again on the screen how powerful this shocking old man turns out to be. So I'm very hard to kill. Basically, I'm very hard to kill. As far as my passive skill tree is concerned, it is very similar to Captain Lance's guide, and I obviously will link his video in the description to my video. But at the same time, there are some minor changes. For example, I skipped some of the nodes, some of the masteries that he took early on, by the look of it, and I'm investing into more core nodes, as well as offsetting some lacking stats, such as dexterity, into nodes like agility. I will obviously drop it towards the end game when it balances itself out. As far as Ascendancy is concerned, it's an Inquisitor character, and I went tanking route first, not the damage route. So I am taking first Sanctuary to create consecrated ground, and applies increased damage to enemies, and it also starts healing you as soon as you take Pious Path. So it causes life regeneration and recovery shield as well, and increases the effect of that ground. So it's pretty good when you are stationary. So I wanted for once to not hop around like I do on my witches. I wanted to stand and bang, as they say. And it's fun. It's fun in its own way. Damage, I will tell you honestly, my friends, so what is not good about this build just yet? Okay, well, it's an unfinished build, of course, but what's not good about it is I think damage output is on the low side, so I will have to invest more heavily into not just defensive layers that I kind of went all out on so far, as you can see, and I will need to invest into damage a lot more. Scaling the damage is going to be through spell critical chance. That's what it looks to me like, that we will go with. And through the further passes through Labyrinth, I will be taking Righteous Providence, which will give me quite a lot of strength and intelligence, and will increase critical chance by quite a lot as well. And then we will end up, if we go through the Labyrinth the fourth time, we will end up with Inevitable Judgment, where critical strikes will ignore monster elemental resistances, which is probably going to boost it quite a lot, because you can see when I fight some rares and some unique monsters, they kind of resist my elemental damage, and that's where the slowdown is from. So I do start feeling that it's getting a little slower towards the end game because the damage is lacking. I will definitely need to invest more into damage. I hope you like this little preview. Give me a like, leave a comment if you're interested to hear more about this build. Obviously visit Captain Lance's video, it's quite detailed, quite nice, and he's very good with PoB, with Path of Building. I am not good, I always said that. I'm not good with PoB, I'm good at explaining things simply, but I'm not very good at min-maxing them, making sure that all numbers align very perfectly. So you might want to take a look at his, but if you would like a build from me, a simplified build, not a problem. I have fun making these builds anyway, and the more people want them, the more I can prioritize that content over something else that I'd like to talk to you about. Thanks very much for tuning in today. Shocking Old Man is very fun to play, and definitely a different perspective to my skinny but powerful witches. This one just stands and bangs, and it's really good. Talk to you again sometime soon about something else, most likely Path of Exile related. See you later, bye for now.